Good morning, Mark Sutton with HurricaneTrack.com here with your off-season edition of the Hurricane Outlook and Discussion for May 1st. Yep, we got to talk about something here on May 1st, but it is still the off-season technically. Mother Nature doesn't know calendars, I guess, so here we are. The yellow X has been drawn, and Dr. Jack Bevan, the forecaster here from the National Hurricane Center, writing this special tropical weather outlook, an advisory, or an outlook anyway, issued outside of the hurricane season. And so what does he have to say about it? Well, let's just scroll over here, look at the 5-day. You see the development area, then we'll scroll down and read the paragraph here. A trough of low pressure, which is essentially an area where the air is trying to come together, an area of convergence, a little bit lower air pressure. So a trough of low pressure located over the northwestern Bahamas is producing disorganized shower and thunderstorm activity. Little development is expected during the next couple of days as the system moves generally northwestward towards the Florida Peninsula. Subsequently, some slow development is possible as the disturbance turns northeastward and moves over the western Atlantic. Regardless of this development, anything that might happen down the road, locally heavy rains are possible over portions of the Bahamas and the Florida Peninsula during the next couple of days. And the next special tropical weather outlook will be issued tomorrow or sooner if conditions warrant. So there it is. And yeah, very interesting. So what does it look like on the geocolor? Really awesome satellite animation from the GOES 16. Well, here it is right off the coast of Florida. And, very disorganized overall, just an area of low pressure, a weakness in the overall pressure pattern, which allows for some convection, shower and thunderstorm activity to develop. It's not August or September, so conditions are not ripe. Conditions are very marginal at best. So you start looking at clues and, what is the possibility that this will develop further? Well, first of all, we don't really have to worry about this becoming a major wind event, so just rule that out from the get-go. But it is a larger weather system than you or I, right? I mean, look, it's huge compared to, just the city of Miami, for example. So you have to take it seriously. A lot of boaters down there in the Southeast Bahamas and the Central and Northwest Bahamas, the whole region. A lot of beach activities, and some of these systems can produce lightning, and that's a problem. Heavy rain, gusty winds. So we just need to get away from this idea of, well, it's too early, it's not going to develop into a hurricane, why is anybody even talking about it? Well, because larger weather systems than you or me, which is pretty much everything, matter. And, there's a time when you worry about something in terms of becoming a hurricane. This is not one of those times, but it is out there. There are people down here enjoying, hopefully anyway, their time in the Bahamas, eventually over here in Florida, and this is headed in that general direction. So we got to talk about it. What are the other things happening that could lead to further development? Well, the water temperatures generally warm enough in this area, 26 Celsius or higher. That's what you need, around 79, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And this whole area is generally warm enough, but there's not a lot of upper ocean heat content. It's not later in the year, August, September, as I mentioned earlier, so we don't have a lot of instability and just a plethora of thick, humid, juicy fuel waiting for something to come along. The stove has just been turned on, so to speak. You get me? And so it's just not time yet, generally speaking. That doesn't mean there won't be development, but it's pretty early. So even though water temperatures are fairly warm across this whole area through here where this could try to develop, we're not talking about the best of conditions, that's for sure. Nevertheless, the water temperatures are warm enough, so we put a check mark. Yeah, that's generally favorable. Now, what about the organization of the system? Well, here it is on satellite again, but what does it look like from a structural standpoint? Well, there it is, the vorticity signature of it, fairly round, but it's not very concentrated. Again, remember what Dr. Bevan wrote there, Jack Bevan, in the special outlook. disorganized showers and thunderstorms. It's not coming along and consolidating itself very well. It's still rather loosely organized, which you would expect this time of year. So not to worry there. Again, just sort of a novelty with some hazards that we need to be aware of. So what do the models think about it? Well, we don't have time, and I'm not going to bore you with every single global model that's out there. So I took a quick look at the GFS from last night, Global Forecast System, and here's the next 5 days. This is what that model shows, just to get your bearings, because, it's been a few months. Here's the coast of the Mid-Atlantic. There's the Carolina coast, down through Florida Peninsula, etc., around the Gulf Coast. Bahamas down here, as an example. I don't want to draw too much, but you get the idea. Now let's put this in to perspective. This is our area of disturbed weather. The vorticity signature showing up with these green colors in here. Just a little bit of energy or spin in the atmosphere. That's what this shows me. So what does it show me over the next few days? Not much. You can just generally see the outline of the system, a perturbation in the atmosphere, a disturbance, as they say, and it goes along off the southeast coast, maybe trying to develop more, as it seems like we always have, even in the height of the season, once it gets up here well into the subtropics. See how that works? It comes along, and then it tries to develop more as it passes between Hatteras and Bermuda. But early on, not much of a problem overall. I can see sort of the axis of the trough there at the 5,000 foot level. You know what? Once this starts over, let me just go through frame by frame. That'll be helpful. A couple of things I want to point out, though, that kind of show you that we're getting close to that time of the year. All right, first of all, here's your outline of the ridge and the mid-levels of the atmosphere. That's why it's nice and warm over the southeast, that southerly flow coming in. But there's the system, and you can see how it's outlined in the general flow here. You're coming along, and then there's this bump, this little perturbation, this trough of low pressure in the overall flow. A little bit of energy, a little bit of instability, not a lot of ocean heat content, equals minor disturbance. But there it is nonetheless, and if we go through the frames here, you see it move along just a little slower for you. There's that ridge. Very interesting that this is starting to set up already. Yeah, that's been pretty prevalent, that ridge off the southeast coast. When you get to August and September, it migrates further to the north up here, or farther to the north, as it were. But that's August and September. We won't worry about that. But it's, this is, like I just said, it's like turning the stove on. Now you got to see what percolates. And as we go through time, there it is in the southern peninsula. When is this? This is about not even a day out. Remember, this is every hour that we're looking at to start. And we'll just keep this rolling on. So, again, some disturbed weather over the Florida peninsula, moving up towards Orlando, Jacksonville, maybe Georgia, southern Georgia, and then off the Carolina coast and on out into the subtropics here of the Atlantic. So, not much to be concerned with, but definitely something to be aware of, because we are May 1st here, a month away from the hurricane season beginning in terms of the calendar. Mother Nature doesn't really care for it too much, I suppose. So we'll see what happens. Unless something really changes drastically today, which you never say never, but I don't foresee that happening, I'll have another update tomorrow, right about the time that the Hurricane Center issues their next update on this system. So we'll see. Maybe tomorrow it becomes what we call an invest, which is the next step from, hey, look, there's a disturbance. Sometimes the disturbance becomes interesting enough and warrants enough attention that the Hurricane Center labels it as an area of investigation, and as such, it would be whatever. I think we've already had one or two in the winter. I can't remember. It's been crazy, but we'll talk about that if the time comes. For now, just something to monitor. All right, there you have it. I'm done for now. We'll be back again tomorrow to talk about it some more if need be. I am Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.